So, hello and welcome to this roundtable on eVTOL design hosted by Aircraft Interiors Expo in partnership with Business Jet Interiors International. My name is Izzy Kington. I am the editor of Business Jet Interiors International, along with two other magazines. And I'm thrilled to welcome our expert panel, all people who are actively involved in the eVTOL sector and exhibiting at the forthcoming AIX. So I would like to invite each of our panel to briefly introduce themselves.
Thank you for having me. I'm Kevin O'Brien. I'm the Vice President of Operations and Technical Services at Tapas Corporation.
My name is Brendan Lanigan. I'm Director of Product Management for the Heads Up Technologies Group.
My name is Ben Orson. I'm the founder of Orson Associates, design agency specialising in aviation.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. So this roundtable is very much informed by a survey that was commissioned by AIX, where 250 high net worth individuals from the UAE were asked about their attitudes to eVTOL and business jet interiors. One of the findings being that 97.6% valued personalisation in eVTOL interiors, including customised colours, ambient lighting and entertainment options. So I think we're going to start there with the topic of personalisation. And if we can please get the panel's thoughts on how manufacturers can cater to that demand for personalisation in eVTOL interiors in balance with other considerations, for example, cost and efficiency.
I think there's, the background of our company is by and large in commercial aviation. So I think a lot of the measures that you can apply in those contexts apply also in eVTOL. So I mean, in particular, there's an awful lot of options when it comes to things like textiles, carpets, fabrics, well represented here, things you can do with lighting. And all of these things really are very efficient ways to create, an ambience that's suited to the customer. There's also, the possibility to do things like, design in certain areas of the aircraft that are relatively easy to customize. So sort of zones where the functionality is maybe a little bit less critical, but it's easy to create, features and differentiating items that will draw the eye. So these are the kind of, high visibility, low impact areas. Fantastic.
And Kevin, I believe you wanted to come in on this topic too.
Yeah, I think some modular design would be a big element of catering to personalization. From our standpoint, we see an opportunity to develop soft good products that potentially can be customizable, but also easily interchangeable and removable, which will help balance off costs and things like that. So some of the things we've been working on, like removable soft wall panels, things like that, it does give you, an element of customization and personalization that is, like I said, easily interchangeable. Additive manufacturing, 3D printing, things like that can certainly enable some further customization and personalization. And I think a big element is, collaboration in the supply chain to really support design in this market. And, partners that have very specialized expertise coming together, working together, often will be able to develop, high quality products, that are cost effective as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so at Heads Up Technologies, we're pretty well focused on delivering passenger experience across business aviation under the Heads Up business unit, and then our subsidiary is Alto Aviation and STG Aerospace in the commercial aviation market as well. So we've been engaged with the eVTOL OEMs on topics like cabin management systems, in-flight entertainment, lighting design, audio systems, and then safety items like emergency exit placards, signage. So we've provided products to help support their prototype development as they're developing their interior design and aesthetic for some of these new platforms. What I've heard repeatedly is that passengers expect that seamless experience from the smart home to the Tesla or smart car to that new eVTOL air vehicle. And so items where we think we can add value are mood lighting. So full color, customizable lighting with different scenes depending on the scenario, the passenger, custom to their design aesthetic. Providing that connectivity, that seamless connectivity that was mentioned over and over in the user survey about how important that is to the high net worth individuals. And then intuitive controls. So when you design an application to control a cabin, it needs to be pretty simple. So a broad user base can come in and comfortably configure the cabin to their specification without having to be, a Apple tech expert or anything.
Brilliant. So I guess that also speaks to the point of if we are talking about personalizing for a specific owner, or if it's used for multiple passengers coming in terms of like customizing the space before a certain flight.
I think that's the interesting thing here is what's the kind of operator model? What are we talking about? Are these individually owned aircraft? Are they the sort of fractional NetJets type ownership, or are we talking about an operator like one of the big airlines taking on a fleet of these things? And obviously, those are going to drive some very different sort of economies of scale around how many of each item are going to be required, which will in turn apply constraints on what you can and cannot do. But also, if you were an operator and you were looking to kind of make a fleet, which was all fundamentally use the same parts but had a different experience depending on the route or the destination or the type of passenger, that's a different type of customization again that you might want to consider. So I think those kind of operational models really are going to be key into what solutions actually fit the requirement.
Fantastic. Okay. And are there other specific approaches that might be used to facilitate this personalization?
I have a couple of thoughts on that. First, Ben makes a great point about it depends on the operator. In the UAE specifically, it's a pretty sophisticated market in the helicopter space already. There's operators like Abu Dhabi Aviation that already they fly AW139, so large VIP helicopters that some of these high net worth individuals are already using. So they have an expectation already on the level of service they're going to get. For these new vehicles, what my company can do is provide, for example, an iPad app or web-based interface when you hop on the aircraft. They give you that gateway into the personalization for the mood lighting and cabin controls for your flight. If the OEM had an option like electrothermic windows similar to a 787, you could control that from an app. Pre-flight customization could be done over the air, connecting to an aircraft. I liken that to the experience I have with my car. So I'm based in Dallas, Texas. So hot, not Middle East hot, but still pretty hot. So in the summer, I can open up the Ford app on my phone, turn on the cabin control for my desk, and have it cooled to a specific temperature for my drive home. Why can't we do the same thing with an eVTOL aircraft? Another great benefit of that is that you can do it while the vehicle's plugged in, minimizing impact to, in my case, the car's range, or hopefully the eVTOL range in the same paradigm on ground power.
Fantastic. So we're talking about an approach that is quite distinct, perhaps, from business jets. How can eVTOL interiors distinguish themselves from business jet aesthetics and kind of established notions of what they should be?
Yeah, I think already you're seeing a lot of inspiration in the eVTOL segment actually drawn from automotive. Obviously the layouts, configurations, oftentimes it's more common with an automotive interior as opposed to your traditional business jet interiors. So I do think you're seeing a lot of inspiration in terms of configuration, design, slimmer, more advanced ergonomics from a seating perspective. But it's always a balance, because you're going to have the more stringent certification requirements that certainly, aren't necessarily in play in the automotive market. But I do think we're seeing, more futuristic designs, more advanced automotive type designs that are really coming into play in this segment.
I think that's absolutely right. I was going to say, if one individual bought one of these things, then the way which is customized could be considerable, comparable rather to BizJet. But really, automotive is a far closer use case, I think, for a lot of these things. If you look at the average flight duration for a business jet, it's something in the order of 2 or 3 hours, apparently, with a ceiling of around 4. So you need space to prepare drinks and food and go to the bathroom. Whereas the eVTOL that we're working with at the moment, which is a 30-seater optimized for traveling from downtown to airports, a company called Solar Aviation. It's very much interior-wise akin to a sort of small commercial aircraft, like a small Embraer. So very, very different again from a business jet, and it flies for 15 to 20 minutes at a time. So people don't get about their seats. They're not able to walk around these things. The requirements for the operators and the users are very, very different from a business jet, I think.
Mm-hmm. And I guess also in terms of the materials, there might be different requirements in terms of if it's something that's used as a sort of charter type service, and the durability of the materials might be even more of a factor.
Yeah, I think it does depend on the different mission profiles of these each particular aircraft. But I think one common theme is they're looking for lightweight, sustainable materials. We're seeing that across the board. Obviously, cutting weight is a big factor, with helping improve range and things like that. So, but also easy to clean, easy to maintain, things of that nature. So we're seeing a demand for more high performance materials. That's what we've really worked heavily on here at Tapas, developing engineered solutions that are going to bring superior durability, but also be very easy to clean and maintain, and still give you that appearance of luxury, high performing luxury material as well. Because again, I think Brendan touched on it a little bit, but you kind of want things to be seamless. Oftentimes you're going to be these aircraft are going to be picking up passengers getting off their private jet, or coming off first class cabin, and it may only be a 20 or 30-minute flight, but you want it to be an extension of that experience. So you certainly don't want to see a drop off from that premium experience. So the selection of high performing yet luxurious materials is crucial there.
Absolutely. And in terms of it being a new form of flight, I think there is perhaps a desire for it to be particularly novel. And that was something that came up in the survey. One of the reasons they might choose the eVTOL over other options was it could be a novel and exciting experience. So I'm interested if you have ideas on how that could be brought about.
Well, let's remember that it's still aviation, and safety is the #1 priority. To drive adoption, we're going to have we need to have safe platforms. And so, these stakeholders, we all have to abide by the emerging rules for certification regulations. So STG, one of our portfolio companies, we're working to help develop those rules for interior lighting. So we have new safety guidelines to keep pace with the latest tech advances, and that allows us to incorporate newer LED technologies, new photoluminescent emergency egress like placard technologies, which can allow different design aesthetics. You can print some interesting patterns on these exit signs to customize to that regional aesthetic. You don't have to power those electrically, reducing the electrical load of the aircraft. So there's a lot of interesting technology that's coming into this space. So yeah.
Also, it is going to be a new experience for most people unless they've flown with helicopters, which are the closest comparator. And I think if you're an aviation enthusiast, as we probably all are, that's probably great. You've got big windows, you're flying at relatively low altitude, and you're going to be potentially taking off and landing in sort of more stimulating urban environments. So it could be extremely exciting. I think the flip side of that is if you're not if you're not used to that sort of transportation, how do we develop these spaces to give people faith and confidence in the safety of this new form of transport? I mean, Brendan, absolutely right. These will be exhaustively tested and extremely safe, but that's not necessarily going to be something that people are considering if they step onto this the first time. So I think we need to be mindful about how we can create sort of relaxing, calming interiors that reinforce in people's minds the sort of huge efforts to make them safe that have gone into them.
Did other people want to come in on that point of psychologically creating a space that people feel safe and comfortable and reassured in?
Yeah, in my prior life at a helicopter manufacturer, we always said a comfortable passenger is a safer passenger. So new technologies into this space to help enable that. I mean, from the seating comfort, focusing on the human factors, making sure that these seats work for a broad range of people, from the 5th percentile female to the 95th percentile male, that you have enough space in the cabin to fit 4, 6, 8 people comfortably, depending on the mission. Introducing lightweight display technology like OLED panels, which you can tailor to different sizes, shapes, curvatures around the interior aesthetic to provide situational awareness, time to destination, battery range remaining. I mean, there's endless possibilities to give that passenger the situational awareness that'll drive a safer, more comfortable feeling, I think.
I guess also things like lighting and the quietness of the cabin also would be other aspects involved in that. Is how can we maximize the potential of those?
Yeah, I think noise in the cabin is certainly a huge factor when you talk about those things of creating a calm environment, a relaxing environment, which helps foster, like you said, Brendan, a comfortable passenger is somebody that's going to feel safe. I think one of the big challenges is how do we prevent so much noise from entering the cabin? That's certainly, I think, a very early challenge now. But once there is noise in the cabin, how can we reduce that noise? And one of the big things for us is looking at sound absorbing materials. So we've developed microporous qualities of our ultra leather products. They're used extensively on business jet platforms because they basically work with an open cell foam and absorb that sound so that you're reducing cabin noise. They basically outperform some of your best fabrics on the market. And it's the reason it's become kind of a staple in that platform. And I see that as something that can easily transition into this segment as well, especially with the smaller cabins where, when you have noise in that cabin, you're going to be, noise is going to be bouncing off the periphery of that interior. The more sound absorption you can have, the quieter the cabin will be. And I think that's certainly going to be a big aspect to improve on, as these designs develop.
I think the other angle to that, which plays to Kevin's point really, is that the whatever measures you put in for noise management, be they sort of active or passive, these are very, very weight sensitive aircraft, and the big insulation blankets that we've kind of gotten used to on business jets are going to be a more difficult proposition to lift up once they've been in service for a while, absorb some moisture and become quite heavy. So anything that we can do with the materials that we require anyway, like the carpets and the sort of lining materials that Tappers provide would be beneficial.
Yeah, we think mood lighting can add some value too. So we have the LED technology today to customize a lighting scenario for the passenger. Say they're flying from downtown to the beach, you can create a kind of a beach scene in the wash lighting. It's on the edges of improving the passenger experience, but it's that little extra touch that I think will help make a difference as these come into market. And so today the technology is pretty good, where we have flexible LED lighting that you have full color choice. You can change the intensities of the lights around the light strips. You can create waves or sunrise, sunset, depending on what the mission requirements are.
Brilliant. And I guess also display tech will be really important for communicating the remaining range and allaying some of those fears.
I think you might want to leave the remaining range to the pilot rather than the passengers, but
no, just so that they are kind of reassured that know where they are.
Not a battery anxiety thing. I think it's one thing that we were looking at with using screens within the aircraft is really just management of the passengers within the space. I mean, we're looking at scenarios where these aircraft are, an intermediary from maybe someone gets the train into the capital and then flies with the eVTOL out to the airport and then gets onto a plane. So helping them along that journey, going for that seamlessness that we've already touched upon is I think where we see displays having a lot of value.
Mm-hmm. For us. So in terms of, obviously this survey was of people in the UAE. So perhaps we can move on to how, tailoring to that particular market. What are the big features that we can do in that regard?
From a design standpoint, I think bringing in colors, textures, geometric shapes that are very in tune with that region and in touch with that culture. I think about more 3D type textures, prints, things of that nature. As I mentioned, we're working closely with many manufacturers on developing soft wall type solutions that bring a little bit more of a 3D type design to different elements in the cabin. So I think those regional design touches would certainly be nice from a soft goods standpoint.
Mm-hmm. And perhaps also in terms of climate control and passengers' interaction with that.
Certainly, climate control is going to be huge. You're going to want advanced AC systems, materials that are resistant to heat and light, don't heat up and cool down like many traditional materials will. They're going to want to sit on comfortable seats, so products that are going to dissipate heat and not heat up and cool down will certainly be key elements of design, and that's a big reason. A lot of our Ultra Fabrics products are used extensively in the helicopter touring industry in very hot environments. And that's a big reason why they're selected for seating materials, because they're not going to heat up and cool down like traditional materials. And the microporous foam layer in our product really allows for superior dissipation of that heat from the passenger. So we'll be more comfortable in those types of climates.
Fantastic. Anyone else want to come in on the point of
Yeah, the temperature control is very interesting for the UAE, of course, and a lot of that's going to be addressed in the design of the aircraft itself. So when one of the OEMs is creating or sizing the ECS, environmental control system equipment, they're going to have to consider that an aircraft has been sitting out on the tarmac in a 52°C day for 8 hours, and it's got to cool down to a comfortable temperature in 15 minutes or something when it turns on. So that's part of the inherent design of these systems. But then from what we can do on the supplier side is, work on simple user interfaces to customize the temperature as the interface to the cabin, whether it's pre-flight or in flight. And it could be through an iPad or tablet or phone app. It could be through a physical switch or a touchscreen display in the aircraft. There's just a lot of trade-offs, weight, size, power, cost considerations as the air vehicle's going through design. And so we work with the OEMs on those aspects of them.
Brilliant.
I think we've kind of touched on a lot of these points. I think, Brenda, you mentioned the darkening windows as well that could be employed while something's sat on the top. Things that we're looking at valuable in a different context, but also here is enabling people to board and deplane very quickly. So you're able to kind of maintain that closed environment for as long as you can. So that's kind of a critical thing that we've looked at.
And what solutions did you find for that?
Really ones that we've adopted from commercial aviation, just good wayfinding in the aircraft, good ergonomics. One of the things we haven't touched upon yet is baggage, which, given that we're looking at a 30-seater, is quite critical. But enabling people to retrieve and store their bags in a way that's stress-free and rapid to enable fast turnaround is something that we've explored for different solution sort of traditional and novel for.
Brilliant. Okay, and what about family-friendly features for families that traveling together? They might have specific requirements.
It's a good time to touch on baggage again. It's not the most glamorous and exciting thing that people think of when they look at eVTOL, but conceivably you've got a lot of extra weight and volume to deal with in what are quite small aircraft. We're lucky enough we've got a separate hull in the aircraft that we're working on, but we also still need cabin space. But with families, it's interesting. If you look at the current kind of crop of eVTOL aircraft that are moving towards the market, really, you've got an awful lot, about 50%. I think from a sort of very brief survey, and sort of four facing each other seats, so they're quite naturally aligned to the requirements of families, whereas others have got all the seats forward facing. And so there's a sort of so straightforward sort of two different scenarios there. One which you might consider better for families and one less so. The other interesting aspect is the extent to which you can sort of see into the cockpit. In some cases, it's quite feasible. In others, the cockpit is closed off. So again, that creates a different atmosphere within the cabin.
Is there a need for flexibility in terms of seats that can be turned around into different configurations?
It's an attractive idea. I think the reality is they'd be less space efficient, and I can't speak for all the aircraft that are being developed, but I mean the one that we're dealing with is you size the aircraft around a particular seating arrangement. So if it's been designed around 4 seats facing forward, to spin them round would probably require a little bit of extra space. If they're at the stage where that can be accommodated, then great. Swiveling seats, I don't think I've seen from any of the current crop. I could be wrong. Some of the bigger aircraft are showing different configurations that are available for a given platform. But not the smaller ones. They tend to be sort of more fixed in terms of how the seats are orientated.
And perhaps like onboard entertainment might be a particularly attractive feature for families traveling together if they have young kids to occupy, for example.
As a parent of toddlers, I agree with that. So providing some sort of in-flight entertainment in a method that the iPad or the tablet generation is used to, I think will be key. Even on these short haul flights, anyone who has little kids knows that their patience is next to zero. So we're working with in our cab management system and in-flight entertainment division to deliver these solutions.
So that's likely to be via tablet and some kind of connectivity system?
It could be. It just depends on the aircraft and the design intent of the OEM. If depends on the weight trade-off that they make. So you can do it on a nice OLED panel mounted in the cabin, or with your portable electronic device.
Okay. Yes, because I did note on one of the questions in the survey for short haul eVTOL flights, aspects that would most enhance the experience. The top two answers were advanced IFE and seamless connectivity, followed up by seat comfort and cabin aesthetics and lighting. Yeah, are there other factors that you think are going to be particularly important for eVTOL cabin design in general?
I think, we touched on a lot of them. I think lightweight, sustainable materials that are going to, help with creating a comfortable cabin. In-flight connectivity, entertainment. I think those are going to be key, because again, I see this really as a segment of, continuing on that journey in many instances. And, even though it may be a short haul flight, you want to continue to offer that premium, luxurious experience. So I think a lot of the things that you're seeing, in the business jet market, commercial aviation market, you want to be able to carry some of those things over and provide those passengers, albeit there are obviously limitations, space being a big one, weight trade-off being another one as well. But the more we can bring some of those features into this segment and even further advance them, will be extremely beneficial.
Yeah, I think for small eVTOLs, we really need to look to automotive more than anything else for our inspiration. I think, they've got the problems around making people comfortable for a relatively short space of time within a confined environment and do it extremely well. I think that the challenge in eVTOL, as with commercial aviation, is to kind of keep pace with the evolution of technology in the broader world, particularly within automotive. I think, really what we haven't seen yet is really the operator models playing out and understanding what impact they're going to have on what the requirements are for the interior spaces. I think that's really interesting. One thing that we're trying to do is promote to potential operators how they might deal with the interiors, because they haven't really thought it through yet. So our role is to promote, say, well, look, this is a configuration that might work for a family or for a Middle Eastern audience, whatever that might be, and give them something to react to. But yeah, I mean, and also looking at the different scales of the aircraft. The large aircraft that we're working on with Sora is, as I say, much more akin to a conventional aircraft interior. But many of the smaller ones really are very, very close to automotive.
Yeah, for us, it's designing products to be those building blocks as they mature the OEMs mature their interior design concepts. So things that reduce weight and power consumption to help increase that operational range on the margins, but it'll help. Every little bit helps. So, I know there will be range anxiety as these come into service. And so everything we can do to help eke out extra performance in the aircraft, I know will be appreciated in the long term.
Did you want to go into some of the projects you have currently in the eVTOL space?
So I'll just describe what we're doing briefly. It's with a company called Sora Aviation, and they have identified that one of the key use cases that people anticipate is shuttles out to airports for people to take long haul flights. So their aircraft is optimized for that mission, and what that means is it's a 30-seater, so it's very big compared to the average sort of 4 to 6-seater, and it's optimized for flights of around 15 to 20 minutes. What it will do, it will fly from downtown to the airport and back all day long, charging at each stop for a short period of time. So yeah, the challenges that we're having are around sizing the space to fit 30 passengers and their baggage comfortably, addressing the evolving certification requirements, engaging with the supply chain to try to find solutions for primarily seating, but I'm sure we'll come to IFE and soft furnishings in due course, guys. And really trying to create, compelling, safe and comfortable passenger experience for this particular use case. Interestingly enough, we have, in the very early conversations around the aircraft, been asked whether we can do a sort of premium version of it where we take out half the seats and put something a bit more probably business jet like in there. So it's interesting to see the immediate reactions we've had from the marketplace for this vehicle. Yeah, that's it in a nutshell. It's a unique aircraft and very interesting space to design for.
Thank you. Let's follow it with interest. And Kevin and Brendan, is there anything you wanted to or could share at this point of your work in eVTOL?
Yeah, broadly, I mean, we're working with all, the major companies in this segment, developing unique solutions. We've really focused on, again, collaborating with other suppliers, other soft goods suppliers, specifically, cut and sew shops, lamination shops, things like that, to bring, total solutions to these customers, not just being a fabric supplier, but being a solution provider. So, cutting weight has been obviously a big goal, and we've done that in a lot of areas, both on periphery applications, panel applications, but as well as seating. We've developed a product that allows the removal of a fire block layer. So you can take out a fire block layer, a couple layers of adhesives, and in the commercial market, we've seen you can cut almost a pound per pax. Now, it's not going to be quite as much on these smaller seat designs, but again, every little bit counts. And at the same time, a big added benefit of this product is it actually makes the seat more comfortable as well. So you're cutting weight and you're creating a more comfortable seat cushion. So that's a solution we've been actively promoting into this segment, again, as well as bringing better acoustics. So materials that are going to be sound absorbing, that will help with noise reduction and creating a more comfortable, quiet cabin.
Yeah, broadly speaking, for Heads Up and STG Aerospace, we're focused on the safety standards, helping advocate with the cross company multi industry groups like SAE. So looking at designing the first working standard for eVTOL cabin emergency lighting, so that these new aircraft are designed to the same protocols as conventional aircraft models. So, well, that's a standard, not a regulation. Those standards eventually will influence FAA and other global regulations trying to provide those high levels of passenger safety. So it's, for us, it's focusing on defining those regulations so we can get to certified air vehicles, get these into the hands of customers sooner. And then at the same time, work with the OEMs to give them the building blocks and design products that help reduce weight and power consumption to increase that range. So from our perspective, photoluminescent materials for emergency exits are a great option, because they don't require power. They just require light, natural light to charge, and they meet the same safety standards as an electrically powered LED light to illuminate your emergency exit.
Brilliant. So, I mean, do you think the emergence of eVTOLs is actually leading to the development of lots of things that will be broadly beneficial across various different aircraft types?
Slightly flippant, but I think it'll help keep the weight down. These are very weight sensitive aircraft, and the fabrics and the solutions that everyone develops for these aircraft will be usable elsewhere.
I think on the passenger connectivity and IFE, from that perspective, I think that's that technology that is immediately applicable to smaller business jets that might not have that level of connectivity today, but could in the future. It could be applicable to the traditional helicopter market as well, which usually is not very tech heavy in the cabin. But if we're developing these newer lightweight technologies, I think that has broad application in the short to medium term.
That's a good point. The helicopter interiors, apart from the sort of more luxurious ones we've mentioned, are typically quite utilitarian in a lot of contexts. Mm-hmm. So, the solutions that are developed for these aircraft, again, will get the numbers up for seats that are helicopter certified that may be more comfortable or more appealing to the passengers. So it should help in that respect.
Interesting. Brilliant. Thank you. Did you want to talk at all about your plans for AIX and what you're looking forward to at the show?
From our side, we're speaking at the conference. We're going to be up there with the guys from Sora, their CEO, talking about, I think what we'd like to explore is the kind of commonality between our aircraft and conventional aircraft interiors, which is what makes the show so relevant, and where it's the same and where it differs. And then, our sort of objectives for the show really are to try to find solutions that are suitable for that aircraft that we can start to build into our modelling, so we can understand what the volume requirements, the weight, and everything else will be, which are essential at this stage of the development of the plane.
Yeah, very much looking forward to the show. We'll be there exhibiting again. Looking forward to connecting with our customer base. We'll be showcasing a variety of seating solutions throughout our booth to really show the ability for us to customize solutions. We've really prided ourselves on not being necessarily an off-the-shelf solution, but being a partner that can really develop solutions specific to each customer's demands. So there'll be a lot of solutions tailored around sustainability. That's been a big driver for us, as well as a variety of other soft good and textile solutions that we're excited to promote.
Yeah, we're excited to exhibit under the STG Aerospace brand at AIX again this year. So we'll be looking to engage with the customer base, talk about all things photoluminescent technology, lighting technology, and then talk a little bit more about some of the group capabilities we have under the Heads Up and Alto Aviation brands under cabin management systems, in-flight entertainment, audio systems as well. So we're excited about getting out there and talking to people.
Brilliant. And any final thoughts on this topic of innovations in the eVTOL space and what you're looking forward to?
I'm excited to see where things really go. I think it's at a very critical juncture now, but you're really starting to see momentum. And I think this has the potential to be a really breakthrough segment. And, there's a lot of, unique challenges for sure. But I think that's what we all pride ourselves on is, coming together and developing solutions to really support this segment. And I'm excited to continue to work with these customers and develop solutions and be a part of the journey.
Brilliant. And okay, if we are all finished, then all that remains is for me to say thank you very, very much for sharing your insights today, and thank you to everyone watching. And I look forward to following all these developments with great interest.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Izzy. Thanks, everyone.
Cheers. Bye.
Take care.